What's up, guys? Paul Wolff. We're back here from Indiana, the Badlands Brawl out of Attica. This race in particular is fairly close for me, so I was pretty excited about it. Had a lot of people go there and watch. Just to start the weekend out, we ran 2 UTV classes. We ran 4,400 and then we ran 4,500. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start at the top. I'm going to start with breaking down some UTV classes, kind of what happened, go through a recap on them, let Dylan cut the edits in the meantime, and we'll just start from there. So let's start with the Open UTV class. We qualified first in it. We come out, me and Tyler Gibbs side by side on the starting line. I got the jump on him, was in front of him a little bit. We come to the rock wall. He took the right line, I took the left line. He shot it real fast, and the right line's a little faster, a little rougher on the car, but faster. Was able to get just ahead of me, and so I ended up having to fall in behind him, and I knew being behind him I was going to drop immediately about 15 to 20 seconds. Just from the dust and all of that, being behind somebody, you kind of end up trailing behind them just slightly in their dust. Because I really didn't want to pass him. I knew he was pretty aggressive, and I was going to kind of let him set the pace of the race and just keep him within reason. That way when we get down to the last, I think like 2 laps, I could make a move from there. So we run the first lap that way, run the second lap the same way. On the second lap, we come into the rock climbs again, second time, and we're running good, car's running good, everything's working great, and there's a lot of traffic everywhere. And as I'm coming up to it, I can see him shoot the right line again, make it up and out. There's people everywhere blocking lines and different stuff. And so he shoots the right line, and I'm just gonna go up and follow him up the right side. Well, as he goes up it, another driver pulls in between and gets up there, and they stop and pull winch cable. Well, I know it's going to take them, 4 or 5 minutes to pull winch cable. There's a guy on my left pulling winch cable. There's a guy dead in front of me, still trying to climb the hill, but he's struggling. He ain't made it yet. And so I knew I needed to find a way up really quickly, or Tyler's going to get way out on me, and I'm not going to be able to reel him back in to try to, the last couple laps, to try to beat him. He's just going to get away from me. So the Maverick R backs up, and he was actually realigning to hit the hill again. And I knew that was the only opportunity I would have to kind of sneak around him and get in front of him and climb it. So when I shot around him, I hit it on a bad angle, actually angling to the left. And normally we angle right going up it. And so when I angled to the left, I knew the car had a kickback right. And when it did, it picked the front tires up and slammed them. And when it slammed them, it actually broke some bolts off on a collar in the drive shaft coupling going to the diff. And so when it broke, I knew I was in pretty bad shape at that point. I was hoping it was maybe something simpler. But I lost complete front end in the car. I was able to back up, and I didn't know it was a legal line until I backed up and they kind of pointed me out of the way that there was a line all the way out and around the left side. I didn't even realize it was an option until after I broke the car. And so once I broke the car, I seen that, and I actually was able to climb it in 2-wheel drive. So I climbed it, took off, ran to the pits. I knew meanwhile Tyler was getting way out on me. Ran to the pits and had him check to see what I broke in the front of the car. Figured out what it was, threw the car down in 2-wheel drive. And amongst all the chaos of trying to climb that in 2-wheel drive, I cut a back tire, probably from beating on the car so hard, spinning real hard. And so they had to change the rear tire. And we had a little miscommunication in the pit, nothing too dramatic. But we got the tire changed, got back out, ran in 2-wheel drive the next 2 laps, and actually made it through the whole course in 2-wheel drive, which is pretty impressive. I was really surprised that I could actually do it all in 2-wheel drive. Had to be a little violent on the car, but it worked great. Ditto tires, really made a lot of traction, raceline wheels, RCV axles, Zollinger knuckles, all the products on that car held up great. CA, HDR, all of them guys have awesome products that I beat on them really, really hard. Ended up coming in second. We were 18 seconds behind the leader. So really good race, just part of racing, man. Ain't nobody's fault. Just happens. If anything, it's my fault. I got a little too aggressive in line. I should have got the car up there and backed up, kind of forced the guy back behind me and re-straightened the car up, realigned it, and then shot the hill. That would have been the smarter move looking back at it, but it is what it is. So move past that, we get done with that one, we get in the 4500 truck. So moving right on into the 4500, we end up with Dustin Jones, Battle Axe Jones, famous desert racer and I guess TV personality. We suckered him in on Facebook and internet to ride with us. We put it out there, kind of put it where he couldn't say no to it, or he looked like a wimp if he did. So we got him in the 4500 with us. He's actually a really awesome co-driver in the car. I learned a lot of stuff from him. He's a really good desert racer, which you rely on your pit, your co-driver a lot in desert racing. And he pointed out a few things that help my program. And hey, you need to do this. You need to work on this stuff. This is all stuff you don't have to do. You need to get somebody to take care of some things, and it makes your life a lot easier as a driver. But long story short, we qualified this thing first. We actually out-qualified everybody. We out-qualified all the 4800s, all the 46s, and all the 45s. So we actually had awesome qualifying run in this truck. We come out and been fighting electrical issues with it the whole time we were there. We had some issues. I think the water was upsetting electronics in the truck, or something was going on. I'm not 100% sure. We still haven't figured it out yet. Come off the starting line, it runs really well. We make it through the first couple of obstacles, trucks on rails, just rolling, no problems at all. We're flying, everything's working great, running great. We get off into the back and we hit the first water puddle, and it immediately just goes to crap. The truck just starts running really bad, starts missing, and we didn't realize it at the time, but it actually started causing other things in the truck to, I guess, trip the breakers. The breakers are resetting in the truck automatically. They'll keep retrying themselves if the breakers tripped or upset in the truck. Well, we didn't realize that it tripped one of the main fans for the radiators. And so we're out front, we got clean air, we're leading the race, we're laying down a smoking fast time. This thing's super fast in the woods, easy to drive. We get out in the back, the wide open section, run all of that. Truck's still running, breaking up. It'll break up and then it'll open up and run good, and it'll kind of break up on the bottom end real bad. So we're kind of milking that along, and we get off and tour the back, I'd say probably, I don't know, 3/4 of the racetrack, and we're almost done with the first lap, and we get a sign come up on the dash that says the engine's overheating. The engine's up around like 235, 240. It throws the light on. We pull over and we're like, what the heck's going on? This thing, there's no way. It has a massive radiator in it. This truck should never overheat. And so then we're sitting there playing along. We realize only one fan's working, and it's working on low speed, not even high speed. So we end up turning the main power off in the truck, letting it sit, cycling the main power, end up getting both fans to kick on. Meanwhile, the whole time we're sitting still dead off the side of the track, and other people are getting by us, other competitors are passing us. So we get it refired up, both fans are working, we take off again. Well, then our air pumpers start turning off in the truck and turn it back on. The radio starts kicking off and on in the truck. The biggest thing we're watching though is just the vitals of the motor. As far as radio and air pumper, we can kind of deal with that. It's not pleasant, it's not fun, makes it hard to communicate and talk, but at least we can continue to race the truck. But at this point we're behind. And so we run again, we have to stop 2 more times on that lap, cycle the power because the fans kept shutting off. And then for whatever reason, the fans decided to stay on. So the last 3 laps of the race, the fans decided to work the whole time. So we start running, we're getting a little more aggressive because the truck's staying cool, radios are still messing up, air pumpers are still messing up, but we're actually running back down people, passing people, making moves to the front, having a good run going. And then we end up blowing one of the front shocks out. We were running through the dust out in what I call the desert sections at Indiana. It's actually just big pea gravel from an old mine, big mountains of pea gravel and kind of dust and sand that blow around and make good whoops and stuff. And we stepped out from behind the guy to pass him, and we stepped right out into a little dip. And this truck's limited to 14-inch travel shocks, so a little dip's a big dip to this truck. and we ended up blowing one of the front shocks out on compression. So then at that point, that was lap 3, I believe. We blew the shock out. So then we were just surviving, and we didn't know, but on the race chart, it said we were leading the race, said we were in first place. It ended up that one of our other fellow competitors ended up getting his transponder got ripped off of his truck from running through some mud, running through branches, smacked it, ripped it off. And so it wasn't tracking his time correctly. They were doing it manually by hand. And so we thought we were in the lead, so we just backed way off with the shock hurt and just started making our last lap. Little did we know the guy was actually physically past us and was right out in front of us. We just didn't even know to run him down. So we just cruised, which we really couldn't do a lot. We had a hurt shock. So we made our last lap, took our 2nd place. We're happy with that. And that pretty much sums up the 4,500 race. Huge shout out to Dustin Jones. He's a trooper, man. He suffered through that. It's hot out here. No air pumper, radios fighting us, truck fighting us. And he stuck with me and held in there for every single lap.
Dude, I didn't know what to do. Whole time. Hold on this race, hold on.
So, awesome co-dog. I'd be happy to have him ride with me another time again.
Is there an Asian massage place in this town in Attica?